You're out sketching, you're looking at something like this, and you are very confused. Where do you start? How do you compose? Well, what are the ingredients that make a good urban sketching? Let's break it down and let's go. It's always hard when you have your sketchbook open and you're fighting the elements with strangers staring at you, and you're just thinking, okay, where do I start? How do I start? Well, let me just describe what I do in terms of observing and my observation, the ingredient that goes into observing the urban sketch. Of course, I stole it from some people that are smarter than me. These are the 7 elements of design, but we're going to use it for urban sketching. Well, let's start with the first one. The first one, of course, is space. You need to be able to gauge the distance, sketch the stacking objects, the distance between the foreground, the midground, and the background. The second are lines. Well, lines are the foundation of drawing. Contour drawing, basically capturing the dynamics, the energy of each stroke, the confidence, and so on and so forth. Then, of course, shape. Shape such as circle, square, oval, triangle. These are the foundation. Of course, the more interesting your shape become, you become more mature in your drawing. They become more interesting. It becomes more attractive to your audience, and your sketch becomes way better as you collect better shape in your portfolio. Right after shape is form. Form is a 3-dimensional object portrayed in 2-dimensional piece of paper. As you can see, the glass marble here, the glass marble is 3-dimensional. The shadow is 2-dimensional. What you're trying to portray, the 3-dimensional world in a 2-dimensional piece of paper, that's in a factor of form. Form is just basically forming it out into its essence, if you like. We'll talk a little bit more in each of these elements. We will have a separate video to dive deep into it. Next is the very key element of value. Value is just this idea that everything is in shades from white to black. Probably 5 shades for a beginner and 9 if you're a professional artist, and the way you see it is in gray tones because colors get all the glory, but value does all the work. Next, of course, is colors. Well, color excites everybody, including myself. We'll be learning the different type of combination of colors. I've already spoken about some of these in some of the videos earlier, but we will deep dive into what other ways of thinking about colors while you're out there sketching in the urban sketching style. The final element is texture. Well, texture is just what it is. It's an understanding of how it looks on piece of paper. You have to figure a way to mimic the texture, to make it look like a stone wall, trees, and different sorts of object. So there you have it, the 7 elements or ingredients of urban sketching, and we will just maybe use a sketch that I've done before and break it down and see how you can also observe how you could do the same thing with your own urban sketching. We'll come back to this sketch in another video where I probably sketch this for you. But today we'll take an old sketch of mine and I'll break it down. The space, it's really about the foreground and the background, and sometimes you have a midground as well. It's really the differentiation of those elements, or rather the objects, and the separation of it. It creates the distance. That's what space is. When you sketch space, you are sketching distance. Well, lines is what it is. If you look at the sketch here, I have the lines running along on the edges, the contour, but as well as inside, giving a sense of the direction of the different sort of plane, if you like. Well, shape's an easy one in a sense that it is the oval, it is the overall contoured shaped. I much prefer interesting shape. They are usually not the boring square or round or circle and so on and so forth. The next one is the form. Form is the 3-dimensional sense. And here I use all kinds of technique to create the sense of 3D, not so much 2D but 3D from the sketch itself. Next is values, and as you can see, I think for beginner sketches you don't really want to deal with too many shades of values. I suggest 5 from white to black, just 5 shades. Somewhere in the middle is the mid shade, and then in between that you have one more step. So altogether about 5. If you can see 5, I think you are in very, very good shape. Colors, of course, everybody's excited about colors, right? I here used a simple yellow and purple combination, but of course it's not a simple yellow and purple, right? I mean, I have different yellows, I have different purples, and the purple is not exactly purple, it's actually a mixture of red and blue, making it more interesting. Final ingredient, texture. When you get to texture, you are already trying to make your sketch more and more interesting, and that is really one of the key of mature sort of urban sketching, if you like. By the time you get the texture, you need to sort of get a good balance of your space, line, shapes, colors, and so on and so forth. So in all these 7 ingredients of urban sketching, it is very easy to observe it, right? Well, not really. So learn to observe. Your observation skills needs to go up. Of course, once you have seen it, then you gotta figure out how to translate it into your sketchbook. That's another set of skills. To me, you can't really run before you start walking. And observation is the walking bit, and putting it down on paper is when you start to run. Those 2 skills, if you like, needs to be learned separately. So that's it. Those are the 7 elements or ingredients of urban sketching, stolen from Elements of Design. But as I say, you first go out, observe, learn to look for these 7 things: space, line, shape, form, value, color, and texture. And then you learn how to put it on a piece of paper. And those are two different sets of skills: learning to observe and then learning to put it on a piece of paper. Those, again, will take time. With practice, you'll get better. So I hope you enjoyed this video, learn something from it. This is Whee Teck, wishing you peace and stay safe wherever you are.